Okay, brilliant point. And actually, I think this is something that really does need addressing, perhaps, because obviously what I try to do is I try to advocate for dads who are essentially being done wrong, you know, who are being denied access, who are being treated unfairly, who are being treated unjustly, and are essentially facing an uphill battle to fight for either what's actually their rights or something as big as trying to see their children. Right now, obviously, everything I discuss goes from what the law says, you know, your rights. We discuss finances, we discuss childcare, we discuss access, we discuss co-parenting, all of those things. But something that doesn't really get much attention, of course, is those dads who aren't actually pulling their weight, right? Those fathers who aren't actually trying to see their kids. And the reason why those particular dads give the rest of us a bad rep is because I speak to so many dads who are trying so hard to have a civil relationship with the mother of their children, who are trying to parent their children, who are trying to see them, trying to spend time with them. And yet we have seemingly a lot of men still who aren't even bothering, who just don't seem to care about the outcome of their children's lives. And even worse, I hear so frequently how many men aren't contributing even financially to the life of a child. And so as that becomes something in society that is evidently happening more and more increasingly, it's just something that we have to address. Now, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of reasons as to why a man may not necessarily pursue access to his children. Now, if I just start from a position where perhaps it's being presented as something that's initially denied to you, the mother perhaps is being particularly difficult in terms of allowing you to access that. If your children, of course, are of an age where you also now obviously start to see traits of yourself and your ex, their mother, in the children that you may not like, that can also create a tension between you and the kids where it's just like, it's actually kind of easier not to engage. But that is the problem. You are going with ease as opposed to what you should be doing. You know, you're choosing your own comfort over essentially a lifetime of parenting your children, and not only just something that you actively do, but something that they actively need from you and need from you in order to be what I believe sort of healthy children. Now, that's not to say children that don't have a parent around are going to grow up any less healthier than children that have two parents. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is that if a child at some point becomes aware as an adult that you, as their father, made no effort to see them, there's something about that is not only damaging, but it's kind of like it leaves them open to so many wounds along the way to get to that point, which you essentially could have prevented just by your presence. So to any dads that are essentially like, I'm done, I'm out of the game, I'm not involved anymore, well, I would say to you guys, do better and stop being so selfish. That's the bottom line. You're being quite selfish. And to the fathers that are being denied access and struggling to see your children, I'm still going to encourage you to financially support them. I know that it can seem as if, from our perspective, that you're giving money to your ex-partner to do whatever she wants with, right? And although there is an element of it that where there is truth to that, you know, for example, if she doesn't have a lot of money and you've provided some income and now she needs to pay for XYZ that perhaps isn't anything to do with the children, she has now a resource to do so. So there is part of that to be expected, but the point more so than what she may or may not do with the money is the fact that you are showing up for your children in a way where they eventually will understand you were there. You were a part of our lives. How did we manage to get through school? How were the lights kept on? How did I go on this trip to visit the cinema, to see my friends, to have fun? Well, Dad helped finance that. And so there is an element where I understand, particularly for those men, again, who are self-employed, this becomes a bit murky water, you see, because you have certain mothers who are, their ex-partner is a self-employed man, and the issue that they come up against, of course, is that, well, if I take him through the child maintenance service, he will deny his income. And therefore, it's better for me to receive the £50 a month he's prepared to pay than actually get nothing and potentially cause some issues between me and him and, potentially him and the children. And so that becomes a bit of an area of sensitivity and an area where a lot of conflict can kind of hit parents. So with that, I mean, what I say to my friends who are in that situation is, as difficult as it is for me to say this, it's like, with caution, if you're being totally denied, and again, this is on the basis that you are above, you're being like above, you're not trying to basically rip this person off, right? If you don't need it, don't go for it. If it's something that you're just being greedy, if he's paying you a certain amount of money every month and it's quite a lot, but you think you can get more, again, don't do it. There's no point. The civility of the relationship is better. But again, on the basis that he's presenting as self-employed, doesn't have an income and doesn't want to pay you anything, then my simple advice would be to reach out to him with the options of how this can go. And the truth of the matter is that I personally believe the child maintenance service are quite corrupt in the way they approach the man. I have obviously been on the other end of this, and they don't seem to have a system that is fair for the person who the claim is against. Right, so often the claim is made by the mother, and obviously the father would be the respondent to that claim. And so they don't really have a method whereby the respondent can be fairly analysed and treated. It feels a bit of a blanket throw, but equally, there are a lot of men who are unable to evade that because it's such a blanket throw as well. So what I'm trying to get at is, for anyone that's just avoiding responsibility, step up, man. Like, literally step up. This is boring now, and it's selfish. And if you know that you've got kids out there who you aren't really trying to spend any more time with or trying to put any of your income towards, then you need to sort it out. You really do. Because it's just, to be honest with you, it's immature. If you were able to have a child but you're no longer able to look after your child, then I don't know what type of man you think that you are. Right? Now, I say that with love, and I say that because, like, there are guys out there who, again, perhaps for selfish reasons, perhaps for comfort reasons, they've been denied. It doesn't seem to be happening. So that the simple way to protect your own heart is just to move on. And I understand that, and I want to empathize with that, because that's tough. I've been in times where it seemed like I wasn't going to have any more access to my children than I had. And part of me wanted to just give up. It would be easier to stop loving them then and there than to keep allowing my heart to be hurt by the fact that I love them, but I'm being denied the option to see them. Also, psychologically, it gets deep, because you're like, I know that deep down they want to see me, and that also is being denied. And so, and you wrestle with the fact that by the time I am able to see them, perhaps now they'll think I wanted it that way, and now we have that to work through. So it's tough. It's tough for all parties involved. Trust me on this. It's tough for all parties involved. But the message I want to deliver to the dads today is, go parent your children. If you have to do it from a distance and you have to just do it financially for now, then just do that. Even when it comes to, by the way, if you later down the line want more access to your children, which I would struggle to believe why you wouldn't. Don't get me wrong, children are difficult, however old they are. There's a lot of responsibility in looking after them, and it is a very selfless thing to do. So if you just don't want to, it's probably because you're selfish and your life is more convenient without having to give of your time and give of your finances and give of your emotion. But if you're literally enabling young people to grow up essentially fatherless, and it's a choice you're making, then you need to do better. It's a tough pill to swallow, but you need to do better. And the fact of the matter is that if you're being told to do better by your ex partner, by the child's mother, it's probably washing off of you by now, because you just don't respect what she has to say, and you perhaps don't like her opinion, and you're clearly not necessarily friends or have a good relationship anymore necessarily. So you're probably sick and tired of hearing it from her, and it's just something now where you have another reason to argue. But from man to man, from a dad that struggled to now, thank God, have 50-50 custody, because the courts are trying to push for that on the basis there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to, like in terms of safety concerns, right? There's no reason why a court should prevent you from having more time with your children, working towards a 50-50. I'm just saying we've got to do better. We've got to, like, it is selfless, it is hard, it's difficult, but the alternative is either a really difficult relationship or conversation with an adult that is your child down the line. And let me just say this as well, from my experience, my personal experience, I have seen my own family struggle with relationships. And I'm talking about my extended family, my big family. I've seen members of my family struggle to connect with their parent because of decisions made at a young age, because of the lack of what seemed to be the lack of care, the lack of want to be in their lives. I've also seen various members struggle with identity, because there's a sense of ownership, there's a sense of being loved, there's a sense of being grounded when you know your parents are for you. As parents, we're the starting point for your child's confidence, your child's ability to socialize, your child's ability to understand their value in life. And so whilst I respect and love single parents, I'm doing the job myself, I don't do it alone. Obviously, they still spend time with their mother, and I think that that's incredibly important. Now, me and their mother don't see eye to eye on a lot of stuff. And, if I could separate the children from her and our relationship, we wouldn't see each other anymore. And that would probably suit both of us quite well. But given that we do have children in the mix, we have to do our best to stay civil. Now, civility is a one step forward and sometimes two steps back transaction, right? But the point is to try to stay focused on the children, to try to approach your relationship with them in a way where you understand this isn't necessarily about me always presenting the best and doing, like, it's doing the best you can, but in that you will fall short, right? And something I've had to learn is that my kids see me now like the good me, the bad me, the tired me, the angry me, the upset me, the disappointed me, the frustrated me, the hurt me, the sensitive me, the loving me, the appreciating me, but they see all of it. And that is exhausting. And it's also like, I'm also like inner me, I'm like, I also know I've disappointed you and myself with, is this my dad? But yes, this is your dad. This is the reality of who I am and the reality of the world I live in, the things I have to struggle with, fight against, work towards, earn, simultaneously trying to keep my own identity and build my own life. Because obviously I don't have them all the time. So I've got half of my life right now is without them and half with them. So there's a lot to build. But again, I'm sick and tired of hearing, I'm sick and tired of being I'm bigging up the dads constantly, because it's a tough one in this society to deal with masculinity, fatherhood, trauma. It's a lot. Work, it's a lot. And I'm not taking away from the woman's experience by any stretch of the imagination, but it's tough. And so I'm always an advocate for men in that sense. But it is really hard for me to keep hearing about guys that just aren't trying, aren't bothering, aren't interested, and yet seemingly like smashing it in the workplace, or on to the next relationship, and that's going really well. And it's just like, look where your priorities are. Because and I'll wrap up on this. This is something that my mum said to me, just about like how I operate with work. Like 20 years from now, the manager, the CEO, the person I work with, won't remember the sacrifices I've made for the workplace. They won't. They would have moved on, gone, maybe died, maybe don't care, next business, whatever. Whereas my children are going to remember every sacrifice I made for them. Now, not necessarily to a point where they call it up to their brain, like, I remember every single day you didn't, you picked me up. No, they won't, not like that, but they will know you were present. And when they become adults and they realize the pressures and the strains of life, they will know that you made choices to deny yourself of something else, but to give them your presence. And I think that's incredibly powerful. So lastly, dads, keep stepping up. The ones of you that are, do what you're doing, man. I love it. I respect it. I'm with you. We've got a brotherhood going on here. Mesimen.com, resources for all of that. For you guys that aren't doing it, it's time to step up now. 2025 is a new year. It's a new term. It's a new season. Let's go. Summer's done. We're into the new stretch, the new school term. Technically, it's time to be present, right? Again, mesimen.com, resources, connectivity. You're not alone. There's other guys that are doing this. We're all in different stages, by the way. Not everyone's just coasting along and it's all good. Not everyone's also hasn't seen their kid for 10 years. There's middle grounds here. So you're not alone. Get involved in the community. Be a part of a fathering community, right? There's support in that. There's strength in that. There's numbers in that, right? And just do better.